we already have all the products that we need to live. We need products that make us want to live. Depression's at an all-time high. Anxiety's at an all-time high. People feel like they don't belong anywhere. So we have everything that we need, but we need systems of meaning that really help anchor us and feel like we belong somewhere. And that's what brands are.
Alex Wolff is an award-winning tech philosopher, founder, creative strategist, known for translating complex ideas about technology, identity, and culture into language that actually resonates. Named one of Fast Company's 100 most creative people in business, she has worked with brands like Apple, Snap, and Dropbox on building emotional resonance through digital strategy. Her work sits at the intersection of future thinking, media literacy, and aesthetics. She's also the author of Resonate, a short book explaining the nature of attention in the digital age. And her book is actually how I originally found her years ago. Honestly, somewhere on the internet, I knew that book, I needed to get my hands on it. So I'm so excited for this conversation. Okay. Alex Wolff, welcome to Unstoppable Success.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you have had such a varied and wide career, and from the outside looking in, it's hard to see all of that. I mean, there's probably so much behind the scenes that people don't even realize you have done or achieved or built, and so I would love for you to just give us, I don't know how much time we got, but give us like the overview of your career journey and what you're working on, what you've been doing over the past few years.
Yeah, well, I don't show everything. I think it's taken even, years for people to realize some of the stuff I've been behind.
Yeah.
But long story short, I got my start as a young internet entrepreneur around 2013. I used to cut high school to be on Twitter, right?
Wow.
And so I was one of the first people to be like, I think we can use social media for business, and started helping small businesses, market themselves online. This is when they were like, what's the point of this? This isn't really going to help anything.
How did you know that was a thing that was going to really take off?
It's because when I would cut class to be on Twitter all day, we were talking. Mm-hmm. And I think marketing is all about where the people are and where the activity is. And because a lot of older people at that time weren't on social media or on Twitter, they weren't really, privy to the fact that we were that active and talking that much.
Yeah.
So once they started to see how much activity was going on, that's when they started to believe it. And so I also was just a very lost 18, 19-year-old. I didn't really want to go to school. And I Googled, is college a scam? And I came upon an article that said it was. And then I said, I'm going to start a business. So I started multiple businesses, but the one that really took off was one called BossBabe.
Yeah.
And it was a lifestyle brand for millennial women who were ambitious, who wanted to aspire to be entrepreneurs. And it was one of the first viral accounts on Instagram, one of the first lifestyle quote style pages, and it grew and grew and grew. And I was able to turn it into a business and operationalize it and ended up selling it. And this is all happening in my early 20s. I don't know anything.
How did you decide to create this community for women in business when this was kind of one of your first businesses? And how did you identify this opportunity? Because I think it's so easy once you see other people doing similar things. Now communities are huge, and it's okay, obviously that's an opportunity. I'll make something similar, but make it my own. You just came out here, invented a whole new concept and way of building a business.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Trend spotting is one of my gifts. It is, we all have gifts. That one has done me well. But, what was happening was I wanted to be a media personality at the time, and I wanted to make money. And I just knew deep down that millennial women weren't going to want to sacrifice their aesthetics for being taken seriously in business. The main statement was these clear platform jellies that I had, and I had to go to a business meeting, and I debated whether or not I should wear them because I wanted to be taken seriously. And I just decided no, I can get this job done. I can grow this business's social media presence. Like, it shouldn't matter if I have on these platform jellies. And I knew that we were all going to feel like that because I know that millennials really care about self-expression. And I think that trend proved itself in how everything changed in terms of visual representation across modeling and across all types of different industries. And so BossBabe was one of those to say, like, we can be a businesswoman, we can be girly, we can be, edgy, and this is the place for that. So I just knew that we were going to want to do that.
Yeah. Okay. And then you sold that company. It's still going today.
Yeah.
What else have you been doing behind the scenes? I know you consult with some of the biggest companies.
Yeah. So what ended up happening after that is people were like, how did you do this? Like, how did you build a following of, at that time, it was only like 300,000. I think it's like past 3 million now. But people didn't know how to do that, including the actual companies, the actual social media companies. They were still learning what creators were. They didn't really know what creators were. And so I remember just going in and being like, yeah, people are building media businesses in your business. And they're driving culture, they're driving activity, they're driving shopping trends, music trends, fashion trends. And that started to pick up. And so, to be honest, another issue I was having as social media was growing, because I saw it go from this little thing to like now everybody wants a social media manager. Now everybody wants a millennial with clear platform jellies running their social media. But I saw how social media was affecting our mental health. I saw how it was impacting in real life experiences, the ability to connect, relationships. Even in my own life, I saw how people were judging me positively for having this huge account. But I'm like, you don't know anything about me. So I'm attracting people for these like political purposes. Oh, wow, she has this many followers. And I wasn't comfortable how we were all starting to equate each other with our follower count. And I wanted to do some work that would hopefully influence a lot of tech companies to think differently about ethical design and how to design social platforms in a way that actually feels social and not so cringy and forced. And I think right now we're in this like really interesting era because it's gotten like really far with that. But yes, I was able to consult with a lot of the big tech companies about how to design better quality products.
Yeah, incredible. How does that job come about? Did they just notice you on social media and reach out to you?
At the time, I was living in the Bay Area and I had a few, tech CEO boyfriends. And I was able to learn from being around that industry. Like, first of all, I didn't really know what operationalizing a company was or how VC funding worked. And so by networking with that crew, it gave me access to be able to, consult and advise.
Okay. If people land on your Instagram now, they're going to see your incredible fashion,
They're not going to see any of this.
And I think that is so freaking cool, though. And I think it's such a permission slip, like you said, for women. Go and wear the jelly heels. Go and wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
How do you think women can balance that? Or how do we start to change that narrative? Because unfortunately, obviously, there still is men or even just people judging you based on what you wear or how you're presented. How do we show up in the face of that? And how do we feel that confidence to wear whatever we want to wear or embody things in whichever way we want, but still allow ourselves to open the doors we need to or land the deals that we need to?
Yeah. Well, I think that I love talking about this. Number one is you have to accept that you're still going to be judged. Like I'm clearly judged all the time, but I'm exaggerating that. I want to be judged because I'm trying to get the public to question why. Why are you judging me? Is it because I'm wearing a certain hair color? Is it because I like pink? Because those aren't valid reasons, in terms of how I show professionally.
Yeah.
Even just beyond professional, I think that, again, it's okay for self-expression to be a high value. When we were coming up with what the standards were on how to show up in workspaces or even in our communities, women in particular have just been taught to be really small, be really pure, be really simple, be really understandable. And I'm not any of those things. I'm not small, pure, simple, understandable.
Like, you're looking very pure in the white today.
Oh, yes.
We love.
It has depth. But yeah, just accept that you will be judged. But I had to make a choice where my self-expression is my highest value. I've tried to like sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
But it's a persistent theme in my life where it's not going to go anywhere.
What made you feel like you wanted to sweep it under the rug?
Fear that that people weren't going to understand me, or that it was going to get in the way, or even in relationships, fear of like being too much, being too complicated. I don't think I'm that complicated, but that's because I know me very well. And I think that's what it takes. When you don't know yourself well, it's easier to be insecure about everything. And you're looking for other people to be like, no, it's okay, you're great. And not everyone's going to tell you that.
No.
So you have to get to a point where you're telling yourself that.
And they're going to always view it through their lens of what they feel safe being seen in, or the level of their expression, or it's always going to be projected through their lens. So then it comes down to obviously knowing yourself at the core, so that even when trusted advisors or the people closest to you may be afraid for your safety or your professionalism or whatever it is, and it's knowing that, hey, I know my true north, I'm going this way anyway.
I think also 2 points. One is we as women have to back each other up. So cliche, we heard it a million times, but like I do think we're in this era right now, especially like if you're on TikTok, we're backing each other up. We've seen through the bull crap, like we're like, oh, wait, you know what it's like to be a woman. I know what it's like to be a woman. Like, why would we judge each other when we both know what it's really like? And so creating space for that. And I think that when I'm doing my crazy things, whether I'm dancing or dressing in something crazy, that permission slip that women are feeling is like, I have a part of me like that as well. And I'm going to be okay with accepting her, because by accepting her, I'm also accepting myself.
Yeah.
So that's one. And number 2, in terms of professionalism, I don't know, like, are men that professional? Like, why do we have to fight so hard to be seen as so sterile and professional when, you know, all it takes is one overheard conversation at a cocktail hour in Wall Street to be like, that was really inappropriate. Like, why do we have to be these like custodians of what professionalism is? And like, if we're going to keep that standard, let's make sure it goes all around, please. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I think the way you show up and the way you express yourself, it gives others so much permission to almost feel safe in a way to show up. And I think the more everyone can start to own that more. I always remember when I saw Kim Kardashian and she was like, I'm going to the White House in my full glam, and her team were telling her no, and she's like, I'm doing it anyway. And I think in every micro moment, the more we can witness women stepping into that power, paving the path, like holding that truth for themselves, the more it gives others permission, even when you don't even realize. I'm sure there's so many people just witnessing your journey and you have no idea who they are or what their story is, but I'm sure it's so inspiring. What is one action that people could take around whether it's owning their expression or showing up in a way or not dimming their light? What's something that people can do today?
Well, real quick, I just want to say I'm very grateful, because I know that I show up and inspire. I don't take that for granted. So I just want to share that gratitude.
Yeah.
What's one thing you can do? You got to know what your values are. I always say this, like, we focus on goals. Goals are good, but you can live a life you hate chasing a goal, where values kind of protect you to live a lifestyle that is really in alignment with who you are. Yeah. Because it's like, I have goals, but I want to enjoy getting there at the same time. And I think that especially women in business, we're like, I want a business because I want to have money, because I want to do whatever I want. Well, what do you want to do? What do your values really look like? Because you can actually design a life where you're living out your values on your way to your goals. And then there's less pressure about these goals, because we've seen it time and time again where we're like, I want to be married and have kids and have a big business and have it all. And then it's like, well, you hate your everyday life.
Yeah.
And then maybe and a lot of us succeed. We actually get it, which we're amazing. Like whatever we want, we get.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want all these things, boom, you get it. And then it's like your life still isn't designed in a fulfilling way.
Yeah.
And again, I had to realize like, oh, my values are being able to wear whatever I want. So no matter what I do, I need to be able to wear whatever I want. It's like whoever I work with, they need to know that's cool.
Yeah.
And then another one is obviously flexibility. I want to have control over my schedule. Typical millennial. Like as much control as I can.
Exactly.
Right. So those things allow me to have a very fulfilling life. And that's because I've had to like really dig down on what my values were. And a great way to figure that out is just ask yourself, what do you want? And then just ask yourself why over and over and over.
The digging of the hole, the never ending.
That why.
Keep digging. One of my biggest values I realized is adventure. And when I go home, I feel this sense of almost trapped energy. And when I uncovered that it was adventure, I mean, I just came from Greece and then I've been to New York and traveling all around, and I always feel my most alive when I'm just on an adventure. I don't know who I'm going to meet, what I'm going to do. And it's interesting just people's perception when you go all in on that value. So I recently got married and my husband's at home, and people's just thought process of, why are you traveling around the world by yourself, and something must be wrong, and just the messages that you receive. But when you know what your values are, I think that's so powerful, because it's like water off a duck's back. It doesn't even faze me, because I'm like, I'm out here living my best life. You can live whatever life you want to live, but we're out here know exactly what we value.
What most people do is they try to get to the goal, and then once they get to that goal, they're like, okay, now it's time for the adventure, right? Like say someone's value was adventure. They say, okay, I can't do that yet because I need to have $1 million first, or get married first, or do this, that. And it's like, no, you can actually do that before you get to the goal. Like you're wasting your time. Time is so finite, and like, as a woman, time is just so precious. And it's like, yeah, babe, use it. Use that time.
So important. Honestly, time is the only thing we can't get back. We cannot get more. We cannot get less.
It's the most priceless like currency we have.
Yeah. Okay. I want to switch gears because you are the queen of how to resonate, how to be seen, how to really create a movement online. And a lot of my audience listening are building their personal brands, or I think even just businesses these days. You can't have a business that just exists to sell a product anymore. You almost created this community, or there's a message behind it, or an impact that you want to make with it. Because if people don't connect with your company, then they're just going to be shopping on price, and they're always going to go to Walmart or wherever they can find it cheapest. So I want to hear, one, what is your theories? What is your ethos on how to really build that resonance with an audience?
Yeah. Okay. So what I like to say is we already have all the products that we need to live. We need products that make us want to live. Depression's at an all-time high. Anxiety's at an all-time high. There's so much just fear and anxiety about the state of the world. People feel like they don't belong anywhere. So we have everything that we need, but we need systems of meaning that really help anchor us and feel like we belong somewhere. And that's what brands are. Brands are really a few categories shy of a full-blown like cult or church, meaning that they're, as so many young millennial Gen Z people are floating around, and not just, it's also Gen X, it's everybody right now that's dealing with this kind of societal angst of what's going to happen. I don't know. Is the world ending? Like that floating feeling, when you come across a brand that recognizes how you feel, that's how you do it. Now, what you need is, again, you need values, because what essentially you're creating is like a mini matrix, like a little grid. You say people are out there floating. When they find you, it's a nice little landing patch of things that are coherent, things that make sense to them. And there's different matrices for different people. But that was one of the first things I noticed about BossBabe. It was like there was millions of millennial women floating around feeling this way, but BossBabe was this place where it's like, okay, here's the matrix, here where okay, you also think this, we think this, cool. great.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out, if you're building a brand now, what do you guys believe in? What do you believe in? What do you not believe in? Very important. You can't just believe in everything, or you can't just want to include everybody all the time. No, you have to create exclusivity. People want to, and it doesn't need to be, discriminatory, but people do want to feel like there are special places carved out just for them. And there's so much potential there. The internet is saturated. The algorithms are full of junk, but what's still super untapped is how many lonely people and upset people, or people who just feel like they haven't found their place. That's still rampant, like really bad. So we need your brand really bad. It's the closest thing we have to a church. It's the closest thing we have to a community, because the way our culture is built right now is there's really nothing else.
Yeah.
So
how do people do that? Is it just through their social content, through all of the touch points, making sure they have those values and those emotions infused?
Yes, it starts with the values, but it also starts with having like a very clear aesthetic identity, so that people can recognize you and tell you apart from others, and then creating opportunity to interact, whether that be, I'm the social media girl that's telling everybody don't use social media, because the media is not it doesn't penetrate our attention as much anymore. And like in real life is, just, it still works. Like basically what happened is we went online because it was this great escape from in real life, but now it's over indexed. And now if I really want to get someone's attention, I figure out how to get them in person.
Yeah.
Because trying to compete on this little tiny screen with a million other, tabs and notifications and also just the fatigue and the numbness. Like one of the things agencies and social media companies don't factor in is that these things will not always perform the same way. Like, yes, this thing might have worked 6 years ago, 6 months ago, 6 weeks ago, but the nature in which we've designed these products, they make themselves obsolete within a few weeks at this point. So they're not that fruitful. So step one is figuring out those values, create a clear aesthetic identity so we know it's you, and then create an opportunity for your people to engage with each other.
That's so interesting. So with your superpower being the future foreseer, do you feel like in-person events is the key? If people are wanting to build brands right now, what do they need to be jumping into?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to just be events, because I think events can sound a little intimidating, especially when you're not, like, I'm not an events host.
Yeah.
But you can still find ways to incorporate yourself in more in real life experiences, whether it's you're committing to going to more events yourself. You don't have to throw them.
Yeah.
Or it's, doing things like this podcast, just saying yes to things where you're going to interact with other people. Because another thing I joke about is, as a stereotypical socially awkward millennial, I was like, oh, great, I have the internet. I don't need to deal with people. I'll get attention online. And then after the pandemic, I was like, oh my God, getting people's attention in real life is so much easier. Why was I not doing this before? Like, why would I make my life so much harder? So yeah, just the way I see it is like your in real life connections will mean so much more, even when they translate digitally, because you've had that real, experience with that person and they know you to be real. There was an era in the internet where you could fall in love with a creator and you were loyal to them. That era is not the same anymore.
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore. You're more likely to get better results if you can show up and make an impression in person somehow, some way. And there's not as much pressure for volume.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make sales, there's less pressure for volume if you are having the in real life experiences. Where if it's pure digital, then it's like, everything turns into a bot and a number and volume.
Yeah, it's like, how do I go viral? What do I need to say? What do my audience want to hear today? And so, yeah, I think that's awesome. And obviously socials then I often find when I host events or when I go to events, that's when my social media then gets the most comments, the most engagement.
Yes.
Like people can't connect on that deeper level in a 60-second video or a photo carousel. It's just not the same anymore. I want to know, lastly, what are you working on right now? Who are you working with? What does your business, your life look like behind the scenes?
Yeah, so I'm advising a lot of tech startups right now, both in Miami and LA, and just working with like creative founders who are building products like what we're talking about, creating hybrid experiences for in real life connection, and just trying to help founders create products that are going to hopefully inject more of a health score when it comes to technology, because obviously there's some cleaning up to do. And, you know, if we want to build a more ethical and enjoyable internet, it starts with like collaborating with the right founders who have the right vision. So
yeah.
Yeah.
If people want to get more of your magic, where can they find you, hang out? Do they need to stalk you down, find where you're hanging out in real life?
Yeah, you can find me at Alex Wolf on Instagram, and I have a Substack as well where I send monthly mood boards at alexwolf.substack.com. And yeah, you can just send a message and say hi.
Yeah. Love that. Well, thank you for sharing all of your incredible wisdom. I mentioned to you previously, but I found you through your book so many years ago. To be honest, I must have found it somewhere through the internet. And I was like, I need this book because I am so interested and passionate about like how do the human brain work? Like what is consumer psychology? How do we resonate? So can people still get their hands on your book?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's available on Amazon. It's called Resonate for anyone who wants to build an audience. And
We'll drop all the links in the show notes. Thank you so much.